I didn't tell my wife that her father had killed a man when she was young because he didn't want her to suffer. Now she's found out from another relative. I'm 39. I live in Milwaukee. I work as a historian at the local archives. It's not the best job for the money, but I love her. I like to find the truth where it's hidden. In old documents, in newspaper clippings, in yellowed files. But now I understand. Sometimes the truth is better not to find. My wife is Amy. We're both 39. We've been together for 14 years. We met at a library party. She was reading The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. I said, "This isn't just a book. It's a trap for the soul." She smiled. I fell for her right away. Her father is William. He died 3 years ago. We weren't close, but he was always polite, and loved gardening. Every summer he would treat us to his tomatoes. He spoke little, but always with kindness. I thought I knew him, and then I found the case. It was by chance. I was working on a project on crime in Milwaukee in the 1980s. I was looking through the court records, and suddenly I saw a familiar name, William Gardner. I blinked. I thought, coincidence. But the dates matched. The place was the same neighborhood. The name was in full. I opened the file. Case number 84 to 1127. Defendant, William E. Gardner. Charge, involuntary manslaughter. Event, June 12, 1983. Location, Riverside Bar. Details, a dispute over gambling. The suspect hit the victim with a heavy object, windshield. Died on the spot. Verdict, acquitted due to lack of evidence. Witnesses changed their testimony. It was him, her father, my father-in-law, and he killed a man. But he wasn't convicted. Because the witnesses changed their testimony. Because someone paid. Or threatened. I read everything. A photo of the crime scene. A statement from the bartender who then disappeared. William's statement. Asterisk, I was there, but I didn't see who did it. Asterisk. I closed the file. I didn't delete it. I didn't tell anyone. Why? Because Amy always said, "My father is the best man I know. He wouldn't hurt anyone. He wouldn't even kill an insect." She lost him to a stroke. She suffered for a long time. Every year, she brings flowers to his grave. Talks to him. I couldn't ruin it. I told myself, he's acquitted. The law found him innocent. And that's all that matters. But I knew the truth. And I kept quiet. 2 years passed. I didn't tell anyone. Not even myself. Not at all. And then a week ago, Amy called. Her voice was broken. "Alex," she said, "I found out." "What?" "About my father. That he killed someone. That he was a suspect. That he lied." "How did you find out?" "My aunt in Springfield got sick. I came over. She had a fever. And then she said, 'Your father wasn't innocent.' I knew the truth. But she kept quiet so as not to destroy you. And she told me, yes, everything. About the bar. About the body. About how they were all silent. And about what you knew." "What?" "She said, 'Your husband found out. He knew, but he didn't tell you anything.'" I fell silent. "Is that true?" she asked. "You knew, and kept quiet." I couldn't lie. "Yes," I said. "I found out. And I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to suffer. But now I suffer more." She said, "You knew. You looked at me when I spoke of him with love. And you kept quiet. You allowed me to respect a man who could have been a murderer. I didn't want you to lose him," I said. "You've already lost him physically. I didn't want you to lose him in your memory. But now I've lost you," she said. "Because I don't know who you are. The man who loves me, or the one who hid the truth from me." She hung up, and I sat there and realized. I wanted to protect her from the pain. But I created another one, deeper. The one that destroys trust. And, perhaps, our lives. I didn't sleep for a week. Not because I was afraid, but because every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face. The one that looked at me when she said, "I lost you." And I knew. She was right. I couldn't call. I couldn't write. When I got to our house, she didn't answer. Through the window, I saw her sitting on the couch, holding a photo of her father. Not crying, just looking. I put an envelope on the porch. Inside was a copy of the court case, a letter from me. "Amy, I'm not making excuses. I kept quiet because I loved you. Not because I thought you didn't deserve to know the truth, but because I couldn't imagine how you would live with her. I saw you suffering from loss, and I didn't want to add to the pain. But I was wrong. Because love is not just about protection. It's about honesty. And I destroyed what was between us. I'll wait. Not because I'm waiting for forgiveness, but because I respect your time. With love, Alex. I left, without looking back. She hadn't answered in 3 days. But I knew her aunt lived in William's old house. Their family had kept it as it was. Amy never wanted to go in. It hurts too much, she said. I called my aunt. I explained that I was looking for old photos for an album. She let me in. The house smelled of dust and wood polish. Everything was in its place. Newspapers on the table, books on the shelf, even an old hat on a hanger. I went to the study. I wasn't looking for a photo. I was looking for a diary. The one he kept in the 80s. Amy said he wrote about gardening, about the weather, about how she laughed as a child. But I found another one. Small, black, hidden under a history textbook. I opened it. Date, June 15th, 1983. 3 days after the murder. I didn't want this. But he attacked first. He hit me in the head. I defended myself. But now I don't know who I am. I'm not a murderer. But I'm not clean. And I can't tell the truth. Because they'll destroy me. And my family. Next entry in 2 weeks. They know. But they keep quiet. For money. For fear. I paid. I begged. And now I live with it. Not as a hero. Not as a criminal. But as someone who has lost himself. And the last one is in 1995, when Amy was 12. She looks at me like a saint. And I can't say who I am. Because if she finds out, she'll lose me. And I can't lose her. So I'll be who she sees me as. Even if it's a lie. I sat there and couldn't figure out whether he really killed, whether he was defending himself, whether he was guilty, whether he was a victim. But I did understand one thing. He knew he had destroyed himself, and he knew he was keeping the illusion for his daughter. So did I. I found a copy of the diary, photographed every page, and wrote a new letter, not to Amy, to myself. You kept quiet to protect. Like him. Is that an excuse? No, but it is an explanation, and maybe the first step to her understanding. You didn't betray her. You simply made the choice. That he made too. To become a shadow, so she could see the light. A day later she called. Were you at your father's house? Yes, I said. I found a diary. And what's in it? He says he didn't want to kill. That he was defending himself. That he paid to be kept quiet. That he knew he was losing himself. But I didn't want to lose you. And you knew about it. No. I found it today. And why didn't you tell me about it before? Because I was afraid you would only see him as a murderer. And he wanted you to see him as a father. And I wanted the same thing. She was silent for a long time. I don't know if I can trust you, she said. But I understand why you didn't. And that makes it all the more painful. I'm not asking you to forgive me, I said. I'm asking you to give me a chance to prove that I'm not a secret. That I'm your man. Even if I made a mistake. I'm not ready, she said. But I'm not closing the door. I nodded, although she didn't see it. I couldn't stop. William's diary opened the door, but it didn't close the questions. Was he really defending himself? Was he a real witness? Was his acquittal not justice, but a bargain? I went back to the archives, not as a man seeking vindication, but as a historian seeking truth. And I began to dig deeper. Case 84 to 1127 had more than just court documents. There was also a folder, additional materials. Not for publication. I found it in the basement, on a shelf of old microfilm. Dust, damp, a musty smell. I opened it. Inside were witness statements that had not been used in the trial. One of them was from a bartender who had disappeared a month after the incident. Name, Mart Delano. Position, bartender at the Riverside, 1980 to 1983. Date of testimony, June 14th, 1983. I saw everything. The deceased, Richard Coltrane, was drunk. He attacked William Gardner. First verbally, then he hit him with a glass. William tried to escape. Richard caught up with him, hit him from behind. William fell. Richard picked up the windshield, which was lying after repairs. William got up, fought back. He didn't hit first. He defended himself. But the police said, "You didn't see anything. Otherwise, you're next." I kept quiet. And then he disappeared. I don't want to be next. The testimony was signed, notarized, but they never went to trial. The prosecutor dismissed them. Not confirmed. Possible bribery. Although there was no evidence of bribery. I found Mark's address. He lived in Wisconsin, 125 miles away. He worked in an auto parts store. I called. I waited a long time for him to answer. "This is Alex," I said. "I'm investigating William Gardner. I know you were there that night." Silence. I won't say anything, he said. I've already said everything. But your testimony was suppressed. You saw William defend himself. And you know he was acquitted not because he was innocent, but because someone wanted to suppress the truth. Yes, he said quietly. I know. But I can't talk. Not now. Not after my house burned down a month after I disappeared. Not after my wife said, I don't want to lose you. But now I can protect you. I said. I'm not a journalist. I don't want a scandal. I want my wife to know the truth. That her father wasn't a monster. That he was a man who defended himself. And who later paid for it with his life. He was silent for a long time. What's her name? Amy. Is she kind? The best person I know. Then I'll tell you, he said. Not for the newspapers. Not for the court. But for her. If she wants to hear it. I went home. I wrote a letter. Not to Amy. To Mark. Asking to meet. In person. With an audio recording. With a signature. With everything that can prove that it's not a lie. A week later he arrived. Not to the archive. Not to the cafe. To our house. I explained that Amy wasn't ready to see me. But she agreed to listen. He was sitting on the porch. Old, gray-haired, with a scar above his eyebrow. When he spoke, his voice trembled. I saw that night, he said. William wasn't the aggressor. He tried to leave. Richard wouldn't let him. He beat him. And when William fought back, it wasn't revenge. It was a last-ditch attempt to survive. But then, their people came. The police. The lawyer. They said, asterisk, if you want to live, keep quiet. Asterisk. And we all fell silent. I wrote it all down. And sent it to Amy. 2 hours later she called. Is that true? Yes, I said. I checked everything. Mark's story. The scene. Even Richard's medical records. He was drunk. He had violent episodes. And you knew about that? No. But I knew he didn't want you to see him as a criminal. And I did the same. Not because he was lying, but because I didn't want you to lose the one you love. But now I'm losing you, she said. Because you've become the one who hides. I don't hide, I said. I brought the truth. Not when it was convenient, but when it was necessary. She was silent. I don't know if I can come back, she said. But I want to know everything. And I want you to be the one who tells. Not the one who keeps quiet. I'm here, I said. And I will tell everything. No matter what. And in that moment, I realized. This isn't about the past. This is about whether I can be honest. Even when it destroys me. She said, I want to see you. Not at home. Not in a cafe. In a place where there is no past. In a park by the lake. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. And bring everything. Everything you found. And don't hide anything. I arrived half an hour before the meeting. I was sitting on a bench, holding a folder. Inside were copies of court documents, Mark's testimony, an audio recording, William's diary, and one photo. Amy at 10, hugging her father. He was smiling, like someone who had saved himself to save her. She arrived at exactly 10 o'clock, in a gray coat, carrying the old bag I'd given her for the first Thanksgiving. She didn't smile, but she came over. Hello, she said. Hello, I answered. Thanks for coming. We sat down. I opened the folder. I put in the audio player. I pressed play. Mark's voice filled the silence. I saw that night. William wasn't the aggressor. He tried to leave. Richard wouldn't let him. He beat him. And when William fought back, it wasn't revenge. It was a last-ditch attempt to survive. She listened. She didn't interrupt. She didn't cry. She just stared at the lake, like someone trying to piece together the fragments of a memory. When the recording ended, she asked, Did you know about this before? No, I said. I found the testimony a week ago. And the diary? Same. And you didn't hide it? I could. But I didn't want to be the one who hid the truth to save myself. I wanted to be the one who brought it, even if it destroyed me. She picked up the diary. She read the entry from 1995. She looks at me like a saint. And I can't tell who I am. Because if she finds out, she'll lose me. And I can't lose her. Her hands were shaking. He wasn't a monster, she said. He was a human who made a mistake, or defended herself, and then paid for it with her whole life. Yes, I said, and I did the same thing. Not physically, but mentally. I hid it because I didn't want you to lose him. But I lost you. She fell silent. Then she said, I can't say I forgive you. Not because I don't understand, and because I'm not sure who you are anymore. Are you the one who protects me from pain, or the one who decides what I can know? I didn't want to decide, I said. I wanted to protect. But I understand. Protection is not control. It's openness. And I'm not going to make decisions for you anymore, even if they hurt. She looked at me. Did you love him? No, but I respected you. And I understood how important it was for you to have a father you could respect. And I didn't want to ruin that. And now I want you to have the truth. Not a perfect father, but a real one. And a husband who won't be silent anymore. She nodded. And for the first time in weeks, she touched my hand. I'm not ready to go back, she said. But I'm willing to try. Slowly. No promises. No, everything will be fine. Just one step at a time. I'll wait, I said. And I'll be honest. Even when it's hard. We sat for a long time. We talked about childhood. About how she remembered her father. The calm, caring one who taught her no when flowers needed water. And I understood. She hadn't lost him. She was just rethinking. And when she got up to leave, she said, I'll come to the next meeting. If you don't betray me again. I won't betray me. I said, even if it means you leave me. I choose the truth. She nodded and left. And I sat there thinking, trust is not something that comes back. It's something that's built. Not in a day. Not in a word. But for every honest choice you make when you could have lied. And I decided, I will make that choice. Every day. Until she can say, I trust you again. 6 weeks passed. We didn't live together. We weren't officially back. But we did meet. Every 2 weeks. In the park. By the lake. And each time, a new conversation. Not about the past, but about how we want to live now. She started going to therapist. Not because she was broken, but because she wanted to understand. Is it possible to love someone, knowing that he did something that cannot be fixed? Is it possible to forgive not only him, but also yourself for believing in an illusion? I went too, not out of guilt, but out of a desire to understand. Is it possible to be honest and still be loved? Is it possible to love in a way that does not take on the right to decide that another person is better off not knowing? And so she wrote, I want to go with my father. For his birthday. He loved that date. Do you want to go with me? I answered in one word. Yes. It wasn't just a trip. It was a test. Not a test of loyalty. Whether we could be together where it all began and where it almost ended. We arrived in the morning. The weather was cool but sunny. The leaves on the trees were starting to turn yellow. Fresh flowers on the grave. She brought red roses, his favorite. He always said that red was the color of life, she said, even when everything seemed gray. She sat down on the ground next to the tombstone. I stood behind. I didn't come closer. I waited. A minute later, she took out a letter. A small one, folded in half. I wrote to him, she said. Not as a son, as a father. And I want you to hear. She unfolded the sheet. Dad, I learned the truth. Not the one you told me, but the one you hid. And I don't know if anything has changed. Because you are still my father. The one who taught me to know when flowers need water. The one who held me when I first fell off my bike. The one who said, you are stronger than you think. But now I know, you are not only that. You are the one who lost yourself so that I could have light. And I don't know if you deserve my forgiveness. But I know that you deserve my love. Because you were my father. Even when you were unjustly convicted. Even when I was silent. Even when I was afraid. I will not forget what happened. But I do not want to live with the pain that destroys what is left. So I leave this letter. Not as a final judgment. But as the beginning of what I now understand. I love you. And I let you go. Always. Your Amy. She placed the letter on the tombstone. She placed a rose on top. And cried. Not loudly. But as someone who has finally let go of what has been kept inside for a long time. I approached. I did not hug her. Just stood by her. Thank you for coming, she said. For not running away. For not being silent. I will not be silent anymore, I said. Even if it is difficult. Especially when it's hard. She looked at me. I don't know if things will ever be the same again, she said. But I want to try. Not because everything is forgotten. But because I've decided. We deserve a chance. Even if it's built on pain. Me too, I said. We walked back to the car. On the way, she asked, will you ever forgive yourself? Not yet, I said. But I'll try. Every day. A month later, she came home. Not forever. But forever for now. And one evening, as we sat on the porch, she said, I want us to be honest. Not perfect. Not painless. But honest. Even when it's devastating. I agree, I said. And in that moment I realized. I didn't fix the past. I didn't heal the pain. But I made a choice. The choice to be with her. Not as a hero. Not as a victim. But as a man. who was learning to speak the truth, even when silence was easier.